Now, people think a family trust is a family trust, but it isn't. Every lawyer has their own deed. G'day, Llew from Elgas here. Today I'm going to talk to you about trusts. What are they and what would you use one, and is one appropriate for you? So what is a trust? Well, a trust is a position really. So a trust generally has a trustee who's holding an asset or assets on behalf of others, who are commonly called beneficiaries. Broadly, there's two main categories of trusts. There's fully discretionary trusts and there's unit trusts. But first, a little bit about my involvement. So I've been an accountant for nearly 30 years. In that time, I would think that I've set up probably thousands of trusts. So I've got a lot of experience. Every single time I set a trust up, it's a tailored experience for the client. And that's the important thing. There's all sorts of different sorts of trusts. The most common one people bandy around is a family trust. Now, people think a family trust is a family trust, but it isn't. Every lawyer has their own deed, and each of those deeds has got quite a few variables in it. Family trusts are very customisable to your situation, and your situation will determine exactly what needs to go in the trust deed. Typically, a family trust has a trustee, which can be a person or a company. It can be a number of companies if you'd like that, or a number of individuals. It also has beneficiaries, and generally they're divided into two classes. One is the primary beneficiaries, who will ultimately benefit from the assets when the trust is vested, which means wound up at the end of its life. And then it has the general beneficiaries, which are generally a very broad class tied to a particular family group, and may include universities and charities and other companies and trusts that the beneficiaries otherwise might be involved with. So that's a family trust. You also have the most important feature of a family trust, that is the appointor. So the appointor of the trust really has ultimate control over what's going on, because the appointor's role is to appoint a trustee. So whilst you might have a particular person or company as the trustee who has legal ownership of the assets and runs the trust day to day, the appointor can decide that trustee is no more appropriate. So if there's a disagreement between the appointor and the trustee, then the appointor's got the right to fire the trustee and replace that trustee with one of their own. You also have a guardian of the trust, and the guardian's role is to protect the interests of the beneficiaries and agree to distributions, etc. So that's a discretionary trust. So that allows the trustee maximum flexibility on what happens with the assets, which means that no particular person or company has the right to any of them, which means they're very good for asset protection. So the assets are held within the discretionary trust for the purposes of protecting assets and allowing the trustee to deal with the assets in the meantime. Then you move to the unit trusts. So a unit trust is a type of trust where there's specific interests in the trust in respect of the trust's assets and liabilities. So each person in a unit trust has a share of the capital and the income of the trust. And you can also have a mixture there too. So you can have some beneficiaries which are entitled to income only, and others that are entitled to capital only, and others that are entitled to both. And generally you would see a typical unit trust as having unit holders that are entitled to both income and capital. You don't have an appointor to remove the trustee. Generally you need a 75% resolution by the unit holders to get rid of the trustee. Work in the same sort of relationship though as a discretionary trust or family trust. They're the same thing. So a company holds the assets on behalf of its beneficiaries, same sort of thing as a discretionary trust. Right, so they're the basic two types of trusts, a fully discretionary family trust and a unit trust. And then there's a raft of different sorts of hybrids of both of those two models, which can arise depending on the circumstances, and we can talk about those later. So if you've got any questions about what trust might be appropriate to you and when you should use one, give us a call at LG Accounting Solutions.